Hey everybody. Uh, I'm absolutely delighted here to read with you today. Uh, it's been such a pleasure to work with Diane with Black Lawrence Press. Huge fan of Black Lawrence. I'm still in awe that I'm actually part of Black Lawrence now. Um, and this book here I'm going to read from today, the Book of Redacted Paintings, is a project that I started during the pandemic, but essentially I've been writing this book my whole life. Um, I'm going to start with an expo one. It says, I tore the first world out of this book. Do you see birds flying out of the holes in my song? And the first poem I'm going to start with is essentially like the kind of narrative of the book that it follows, embodying a narrative. It's called Case Summary Report, Investigation on the Wall. And the way that I organized the text on this page is I looked up an investigator's report, a forensics report, and I copied the state language, as a way to reappropriate that for the book. The state as a way of flattening us, and so this is how I embodied this. Case report summary investigation of the wall. Evidence. Specimen A, 3.7 kilograms of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Notes. Weight denotes a molecular structure imprinted on the wall after burglary. Specimen B, DNA of a shadow on a panel of glass. Notes. Sample suggests the burglar's shadow brushed the living room window at room temperature. Clues. I want to feel repeated on a record player. A half-scratched dark scar. Witnesses and statements. Dishwasher. I didn't see anything. Door. I didn't see anything. Window. I didn't see anything. Something must have slipped through me. Room temperature. I didn't see anything, but the allegory of my light particles has a debt to settle with the wall. Wall. I want to feel whole again. So here's supposedly the missing portrait from the book. And this is called My Father Under the Stars, 1979. That's my real dad, by the way. All right, My Father Under the Stars, 1979. A man stands by a redwood, a blood cluster of leaves beneath him. Later that night, lit windows in the distance, the prize for this missing man causes a fluorescence of body heat moving amid the trees. Dogs and men, flashlights brushing the woods, a tiny shred of cloth torn from his dark edge of a branch. In some version of this story, my father was late from the A3853. My A3853. My A3853 doesn't talk much. My talk doesn't. A3853. He was made. When my A3853 was made, talk much, much doesn't talk, resident much talk. My father, resident my talk, doesn't A3853 much. Iran made my father A3853. He doesn't talk much. He was made a resident of Iran. My father is A3853. Bibliography of paintings that never made it to the wall. Diagram of a half-eaten tomato, 2017. I have in my journal the schema of a torn open tomato. The bite marks are quite visible. A poet defined it as red in the slumber of solitude. I said, don't be so dramatic. The poet got up and put on clothes. I haven't seen the poet since. The poet left a hickey on my neck. I should give the poet a call. Yes, tonight. Maybe. But teeth small enough to poke through the skin of a tomato, yet steep enough to open its egg. Portrait of a tree as a mirror of the axe, 1977. When I was a tree, I was planted in the city and grown on the side of the road. I was susceptible to bird attacks, a heckle of feathers invading my leaves. My dreams were made of stones that spied on coyotes. Light was my signature until I became a fraud. Then I picked up forgery. I learned to mimic what is dead cannot save me from dying. If you treat us like money, shit, we'll act like money. Before I was chopped into a coffin, I had a word with the axe. Of those who hold you now, were they not the ones who cut you down? This Halloween. This year, I want to be a walking painting. One missing from a house with holes in the walls the size of mothers. Houses with imperial stairs and statues of lions and gargoyles and shit. I want to be the kind of painting taken during war, transferred from callous hand to callous hand, a transaction of men climbing through holes in the side of the house with legal language, hexed with vexes and allegation, who spit tongue in colony talk and pig Latin, who smell of bourbon and white wig, men who will call me to the stand by my criminal name, case number 37512, please. Men who hire painters oblivious to everything but the aesthetic of what it must feel like to step over a ring of bodies. Fuck that. I want to be a stolen painting so the earth could see the imprint of a wall in the aftermath of hands. I want my canvas to be 1,000 mouths that fall silent when the siren sounds. So when I step up to your patio for candy like trick or treat, you'll open the door and manage a smile. You won't know what else to do. You'll say, and what are you supposed to be this year? I'll want to say the leftover dust of a picture frame, which is another way to say khianat, which is another way to say betrayal. I'll want to say the dark shade of a canvas in its leaving, but instead, I'll say, thank you. I am the result of history. Okay, two more, and is that good, Dan? Two more, like okay. All right. A lot of this book is influenced by like my dad is my muse. He's been like a mysterious figure in my whole life. Like he's with us and he's like, you know, present and gentle and all the things. But that's part of the I mythologize them basically. You know, I'm exploiting my father is what I do in this book. All right. So all right, this is called Portrait of My Father's Dissolution. 1. In the year of my refuge, I soothe my father's tumors. He closes his eyes and flies like a man with wings torn from his back. Someone must have ripped heaven from the sky and pinned it to the back of his eyelids. Someone must have told him living is as hopeless as making love in front of mirrors. 2. My father died when he was 12. The doctor zipped the body bag over his face, but my father refused his ghost the way he refused hospital flowers. When he was resurrected, his sperm was shaded with an afterlife. Now, when he coughs, the scar on his right lung takes the shape of a dead boy bombing out his chest. 3. My father once said he has a talent for getting sick. In the cavity of his lung, the dark scar opens a narrow door to heaven. My father's luck can make a tree ashamed of itself, hanging low, branches to the ground, grateful for its 1,000 years, while my father slides off his body, hoping to land on a leaf. Who knows? Maybe in heaven the dead are not converted to trees. 4. My father is a mountain with houses built on his back. From a distance, lit windows glow like the eyes of a moth flickering in the night. Nobody wants to die, forced to come out of hiding, his arms in the air, awaiting demolition. 5. In the year of my refuge, I rub my father's back and foresee his silhouette slipping through a door. Maybe death catapults us to a hall of mirrors, pretending to serve the body, when, in a larger realm, we are trapped in a spectrum between worlds, forever glossing over the way we look. 6. Once, my father dropped a sugar cube in a hot cup of tea. When it dissolved and evaporated to the surface, this, he said, is how important we are. This book is largely about my mother as well, and I kind of wish I had read some poems from about my mother here, but that's gonna be that's forthcoming in another title that I haven't even submitted out yet, but I'm working on it. The final poem I'm gonna read is a poem called Anna Walinska, and this poem is based on a portrait of Anna Walinska. And I saw this article on Hyperallergic about this portrait being missing because she sold it for rent. And I got a note from her niece that said Anna would have loved this poem. And if there's any reason I write poetry, it's for moments like this, like that, right? And this is Anna Walinska. The softest form of silence I've ever known is rain, even softer than a burglar's hands with the thirst of an art collector. It was raining the night Anna Walinska sold her portrait to make rent. Nobody wanted to buy the painting by Arshil Gorky, so the price was low. The portrait hung on the wall of her apartment. I don't know the term for this kind of devotion. What is the word for a lover who cannot be seen, who cannot be sold? Money is the worst form of conversion for this sort of silence. So that wound remains unsaid, quiet, the shape of something absent, 22 by 16. Now it rains on the city and the wall. Thank you so much.